I wouldn't be having all of these issues around me, family issues, and I would just be able to fix everything right away.
Danny Pyatt. JD Schrader.
My kid really likes Iron Man, so I would want those Iron Man boots that shoot lasers and can make you fly, because I think that'd be fun.
You just yours.
I don't want to fly that high.
No, no.
Angel Zimmerman.
I would just be a tennis shoe because they're comfortable, they're versatile, and I don't know, keep you moving, I guess.
Okay, we'll go on. Is there public comment, Ken? No. Then we'll go on to the consent agenda. If somebody'd like to make a motion.
I would like to make a motion to table word action L. That would be 6L. It has to do with the extracurricular code.
Okay.
I'd like to table the Cal meeting in August.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
And any comments or that?
Extra. Does it affect anything?
Am I allowed to, I know that we have documents that other people don't, but the document that is there, I don't see that it has anything to do with personnel that would be needed to be in executive session. Am I correct? So can I say why I think we should put it off for?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Well, first of all, 3 are gone. I didn't expect that. But my reasoning is the wording that is taking parent out of the athletic code. If we're going to talk about a document that is sometimes used for legal situations, especially when it gets to the board or even goes beyond the board, when there are differences of opinion, a legal term is parent/guardian, and it certainly is not caregiver. A caregiver is a medical doctor, a nurse. We have lots of caregivers, but most caregivers are paid. And I have a huge concern that by taking parent out of our documents and guardian, we're leaving ourselves open to possible lawsuits. And I don't believe caregiver is a legal phrase for a document. At the same time, I'm going a little bit farther in that it has come to my attention that documents that go out en masse to our parents in this district don't say parents anymore. They say caregiver. And I just have the feeling that someone or a few people in administration are attempting to take the family out of this situation and will lead to first graders, second graders, third graders not hearing parent, mom, or dad in our curriculum at some point.
I'd like to respond to that. That came about, Dr. Bartow, from so many of our students not living with a parent, but when I write a note home, I say parent/guardian/caregiver, because some aren't living with a legal guardian either, and with our revised mission and vision, It was our attempt to wrap our arms around each and every student, including those who don't live.
And I
with the
understand that.
So-
My concern is what's before us says parent with a slash through it and only has caregiver.
Yeah.
I can deal with caregiver if parent slash
Right.
guardian slash caregiver, but if our documents are going out just, and letters to the public are just saying caregiver, that's not right.
So if we table this, which was your motion, that would be our recommendation, is to add it and not delete parent or guardian, like you're suggesting. It would
Yes,
be
and I can
in
live with
addition
everything
to.
else.
Okay.
Well, do you need to table it, or can we just do that?
Yeah, can we just do that tonight, or is there some reason?
We
want to
could
do
if
that?
that's
If
satisfactory to you.
that would be satisfactory. I just believe parent, guardian, and if caregiver is there, that's fine, but we need parent and guardian in our documents.
Okay.
So if everybody feels that that's the way to go, I'll withdraw my motion to table, and I will make my motion to accept the agenda.
Okay,
Not that I'm aware of,
What is it you have to table things before they can get to them? Is that when we don't have that happen?
no, he's
very
doing it,
often? Wait, I don't get it, I just,
yeah,
well,
it's the correct
curious.
procedure here.
My feeling was that if there was not consensus, as I have seen now, that we needed to table, because if we had had 2 meetings this month, our normal CAL meeting last Tuesday, this would have been presented to us all, and when I saw this, I think it was Saturday morning, maybe Friday night, I was like, no, I don't think that's the right
Yeah.
way to go.
I think you're okay asking to table it. You would have also been okay to ask that it be changed once we got to that document. But either way, so you,
Right, I was just curious on the Robert's Rules of Order's part. Like, say that again, so he could have asked to table it when we got to it, or does that
No,
have to be
no.
done?
No, I had to do it because I was changing the agenda. Andy reminded me of that a couple meetings
Yeah.
ago, and we let the 2 students come up
Yeah.
so they didn't have to sit through like 5 more
Yeah.
things.
so this is the right place to be trying to change the agenda and, okay, so you have withdrawn your motion. He
Yes.
withdrew his motion, and he has made a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Correct.
And we still need a second for that.
Second.
And is there any further comments or questions on the consent agenda? We go ahead with the roll call.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Pyatt. Just checking to see if he's joined us.
I got
Schrader,
an email from him that, like 10 minutes before I walked over, he was unable to get back to his,
Also, you won't be joining us?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Who's on the screen? I'm too blind to see that.
Dustin,
Dustin.
Okay.
Dustin and Mary.
Oh,
Mary,
all right, yes.
okay. we're-
Zimmerman,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes. Okay, we'll go on to the COVID update.
Okay. We have another meeting, things, change often as you're aware, so we have another meeting scheduled next week with Public Health. And so far, we're running things, of course, the board went with recommended masks, and that's still where we are at with that. In terms of the plexiglass barriers up in the main offices, we'll keep all of that in place. The other thing we're going to do is continue with a visitor sign-in. Actually, that's a change because we didn't allow visitors last year. So our intention is to allow visitors again, but have them sign in with the option of taking their temperature and sanitizing at the entrance. And then the COVID protocols would stay the same for students, and we do plan to continue taking temperatures of our youngest learners, just the elementary students, because they are the least likely to be able to articulate exactly how they're feeling. Darlene shared Langlade County vaccination info with me today so that I could share it with you. Those who are vaccinated eligible, 12 to 15 years of age, our county has 12.3% vaccinated. The state is at 31%. And then 16 to 17 years of age, we're at 17.9%, and the state is at 41%. And that includes, that's not just our district, as you understand, that includes other districts in Langlade County and our parochial schools as well. So Langlade County currently is rated as a medium activity case level. And as of this moment in time, we do not have any positive cases involving students that we're aware of. So
Are we thinking we're gonna let shop classes and stuff go more ahead this year?
that is the thinking, JD. The question was, would classes run, like lab classes, go back to normal? That is the hope, that is the plan. And ideally, we wouldn't have to revert to anything more restrictive. But that's what we're preparing for, yes.
Okay, so we're operating under the assumption right now, no masks, even for like kindergartners, recommended.
Recommended only, right, unless the board would revote.
And then next week, will you talk about, or are you having discussions about quarantine discussions or class cohorts or those additional things that were in place last year and what it will look like this year?
Yes, the quarantine protocol remains the same, and that's from the CDC and Department of Health. Is that your question, Jill? Or, because we did discuss that last meeting too, or is it something else that you're?
Oh, are you wondering if we make it, can we make it less restrictive somehow, or not really? So like if one,
The time frame?
I don't know, somehow.
So I spoke with a teacher in the Hudson district, and for close contact of a positive case, they offer the parent the choice. The student can stay in school as long as they're asymptomatic, or the parent can choose to quarantine their child. So I was curious on, I'm not seeking answers right now, I'm just wondering if those are topics for your meeting next week.
I can add that. Go ahead, Dar.
If I can address that, Jill. Everything that I have read from the DHS and CDC, if they are vaccinated, they do not need to quarantine as long as they are asymptomatic. However, if they are not vaccinated, they will need to quarantine for either quarantine till they get a PCR that's negative or for 10 days. So that is what the CDC and DHS is recommending. DPI is currently updating all of their information to reflect what CDC and DHS is recommending. But at this point, if they are vaccinated and they have no symptoms, they do not need to quarantine, they just need to monitor for symptoms. If they do start showing symptoms, then they will be required to get a PCR, and if it's negative, they can come back once they're symptom-free or out for 10 days. So we're going to be sticking, because with this new Delta variant, right now, Wisconsin, 50% of the cases that are sequenced, which means the positive cases are being evaluated for what variant, 50% of them is the Delta variant. And from Dr. Westergaard, the Delta virus, people who become infected with Delta have more virus in their body. That's why they're more infectious, and they are more infectious sooner. And that's why it can spread so rapidly. So they are seeing a rise on the Delta variant. Currently, right now, up in this northern region, which Langlade County is part of, there has not been a Delta variant sequenced, but they've only evaluated over about 350, I believe, positive results. And these results are only the results that are sent to the state lab. what Aspirus does, they don't sequence, they don't evaluate for what the variant is. So these are the tests that they're checking for the variant are only the ones that are being sent to the state lab at this point. So that's why we're sticking to it, because we have just a little less than 50% of our kids who have no option. So we are, and in order to keep the schools open, one of the statements that Dr. Westergaard and one of the other leading state officials that I was on a webinar with last week said schools are safe because we make them safe, and I do truly believe that if we don't continue at least through the beginning of school into the semester and then see where it goes, if we find that we're doing really well, we might be able to loosen up a little bit. But I am, once we bring those kids in and we get them into a classroom, I feel that we need to do what we can to make sure that all of the kids remain as safe as possible. So I would like to continue with the current protocol. It worked well last year, so I'd like to continue with it.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
I'd be curious if there can be discussion next week about what that looks like in terms of how we identify vaccinated versus unvaccinated, given that it's not a vaccine at this point, it's emergency use only, so it's not a vaccine, so I struggle with that terminology, but then also, what are the potential impacts on achievement and students being out for longer and on essentially presenting as though the district is coercing or pushing for students to get the shot so that they don't miss out on school, they don't miss out on athletics, they aren't secluded because of their personal health choices. So I have concerns around that, of just further discussion, in addition to things like looking at the VARS data to identify the adverse effects too. I just would like a more comprehensive, objective look at it.
Yeah. And I truly understand where you're coming from. At this point, we can't give you the comprehensive input as to, the outcomes from the vaccine and from from everyone getting the shot, because they're still collecting that data. And that's something that is going to go on for probably another year and a half. They say that phase usually takes about 2 years. So we've been in it now for about 6 months. So another year and a half potentially of data collection before we can truly answer that question clearly. And you're right, I don't like having the kids stay home. However, we're not forcing or coercing anyone to get vaccinated. Everybody is able to make that choice, and the parent can make those choices. But we do have the choices of, if you aren't vaccinated, then we will need to do this for your safety as well as the other people's safety. As far as identifying who is vaccinated, who's not, when I contact trace, I will be accessing the immunization record to determine who has to go home and who doesn't. That's just another step that I'm going to have to do this year. But I don't want to just say everybody has to be excluded. If they've been vaccinated, they don't have to. So I want to be very, accurate in my decision as to who I need to contact. I will still call a parent and say, your child has been exposed. Please continue to monitor them, because it has been well known people who do get vaccinated can still get the virus. The purpose of the vaccine is to prevent severe illness and death, which it has proven to, so far, the data has shown that it's been really good with, and very successful. But I still need to let all parents know if their child's been exposed whether they've been vaccinated or not. You know what I'm saying? So-
Yeah, well, and if the purpose of the shot is to reduce the symptoms that the individual has, then it doesn't reflect the purpose of transmission. So then I feel as though we're imposing on parent, caregiver, guardians' decision-making for their students' health. I feel like that just becomes I'm concerned that your students are going to feel that they need to be pressured into taking a shot so that they don't miss Friday's game or Tuesday's event or student council, because they have to be forced into a quarantine, but others don't. So that's.
Well, they would, the only reason they're forced into a quarantine is if they become a close contact or they are positive or showing symptoms and we don't have the PCR back yet.
Darlene, if they're close contacts, we say that masks work really well. And what if we just required your close contact, you have to wear a mask now for the next 10 days?
The problem with that is right now we're recommending it. And as the number of people not wearing masks go up, so do our risk of transmission. The masking is only proven to be very, very effective. It does provide some protection to other people and to the wearer, but the more people who are not wearing the mask, the higher the risk of transmission.
Okay.
In order for masks to work, it has to be the majority, large number wearing them.
Okay.
The concern would be symptomatic anyway, right? If they're symptomatic, that would be the concern, more than asymptomatic, correct?
But asymptomatic, you can still spread.
Right.
Yeah. And those are the ones that are concerning, because if they're asymptomatic, we're not going to know they're positive unless we do screening testing, which is something we don't plan on doing. Screening testing is where we test once a week, either all the staff or a certain grade or things like that. That's screening testing. We do plan on doing symptomatic testing or close contact testing. At this point, I'm waiting to hear back from DHS to determine. Dr. McKenna wanted us to go right to the PCR, which is the most accurate test there is. If we did the antigen and they're symptomatic and the antigen test comes back negative, we still require a negative PCR because the antigen test or the rapid test is not that accurate. So we would still require PCR. So Dr. McKenna wants us as a school district to be able to offer that service of doing the PCR while they're in the office prior to going home, which is something I would do. The problem with that is trying to find some place I can take the test for them to run the lab. And I'm waiting for DHS to contact me to determine if they're going to allow me to take it to Aspirus.
Okay.
How many students actually in the Antigo School District tested positive?
I think this is data that we've had before, and so,
But I haven't. This is my first meeting.
yeah.
I'm just curious as a human.
But so, I'm not going to take questions from here, and if you want to talk to Darlene after the meeting, that's fine.
I'll have to address this, Mr. Deputy.
Jill, I made note of your comments
Yeah.
to take to that meeting next week.
Thank you.
Jill, just in my Googling while we were talking here, so Pfizer submitted for full regulatory approval on May 7th, and it says the typical span of review for this decision is 6 months. So it would be a normal vaccine, January 2022.
So currently it's not.
Okay, anything else on the COVID update? Then we're going to move along to new business and the policy manual review, the 3,000 professional staff. Does anyone anybody have anything that they came across that they want to bring up?
Well, there's a lot of policies in the 3,000s.
Yeah.
So like moving forward, can we not have one full,
So the 4,000s are almost the same thing.
yeah, like split it in half?
So, yep, Mary Kay, can you split that in half for us for the
Sure.
next meeting? And could you send that out, a week or more in advance so
Sure.
people can start reading in advance?
I agree.
Mary Kay did find a duplicate administrative guideline. It's just printed twice in there, so we'll take care of that. It's number 3362 if you're interested.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll go on to board workshop on July 27th.
Okay, wanted to let you know at your request, we have partnered with WASB, and Cheryl Stinsky is coming here next week on Tuesday. It'll be an open meeting, of course, for a board workshop on community engagement, starting at 6 o'clock. So she sounds very excited. She had access to the board evaluation that you took the last few years and our results from this past one, so she'll weave any of that information into the retreat, or the workshop, that she can. So, we'll see you next week.
How long is it?
She didn't give an end time, but,
Dr. Barrow, you won't be here?
Right, I have a previous communication
Okay.
that
Okay.
okay. She didn't indicate how long, but I think we can, unless she did to you, Mary Kay?
She didn't. She asked kind of what we would prefer. I said like 2 hours.
2 hours, okay. We're gonna hold
Okay.
you to that.
Yep.
Okay. We'll go on to item C, North Lakes Community Clinic Agreement.
This we've been doing for a number of years, and the reason it doesn't require approval and is not listed in action is because no money exchanges hands. The North Lakes Community Clinic comes in and provides free dental sealants for our students. It's just a fabulous offering. I know last time this was on the agenda for information, we talked about what a benefit it is to our students and our community, and parents and caregivers are really appreciative as well. So just to let you know that we plan to have them back in our schools this coming school year.
Okay. Then we'll go on to board action, and item A is consideration to amend the 2021-2022 Unified School District of Antigo budget.
Do you want all three motions at the same time or separate?
Dr. Bardo, I'm okay with doing them separately. That would be fine.
I think separately.
Okay, motion one. I move the board approve the transfer of $535,000 from Fund 10 General Fund to Fund 46 Long-Term Capital Trust to fund projects outlined in the 10-year capital improvement plan.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions?
Essentially, Andy, with these three motion items, I provided the board with a review of my analysis of how we end the year. And these are recommendations that I'm suggesting we can do with the unexpended funds.
Yeah.
We typically amend our budget in the previous year's budget in July, prior to the audit, which will be occurring next week.
Okay.
Okay.
And just to be clear for everybody, Fund 46, before this, we have been putting money in for about 5 years, but now when we put money in, we can take it right back out next year.
Exactly. In the memo I mentioned about the track funds, it didn't start, and now it's just about completed, and we'll pay for those renovations through Fund 46 this month.
Okay. Any other questions? Then a roll call.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes?
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Motion 2, I move the board approve the transfer of $295,000 from Fund 10, General Fund, to Fund 73, Employment Benefit Fund, for the purpose of equitable distribution to eligible participants within the Retiree Health Reimbursement Agreement Plan.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments on that one?
Andy, just briefly, I provided the board with this morning, or I think it was yesterday, we uploaded it regarding the basis of how the plan was set up. And I've had prior discussions at board meetings about a group of employees that didn't get the same distribution as more senior employees did.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead with the roll call on that.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Motion 3, I move the board approve the amended fiscal year 2020-21 budget as presented, showing expenditures in the general fund of $28,631,283.84 and expenditures for all funds, including debt service, of $33,369,720.20.
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions on that? We'll go ahead with another roll call.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes. Okay, we'll go on to item B, consideration to approve the write-off of school lunch balances.
I move the board approve the transfer of funds from Fund 10 to Fund 50 food service for the purpose of writing off student lunch balances in the amount of $3,431.80.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Jim got a sheet in there. Then we'll go ahead with the roll call on that.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes. Item C is consideration to approve 2021-2022 CISA 9 service agreements.
I move the board approve the CISA 9 service agreements as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions or comments on this? Agreements were in there.
What's Amy?
Amy couldn't be here tonight. She had planned to be, so I do have, I know some of you had asked me about a history of what we've spent with our partners over the last few years. CISA 9 is our most consistent partner because we're in that CISA. So as I take a look, we have averaged, that one hasn't changed. So it's been anywhere from 88,000 to 133,000. In 2007, it was 150,000. So it varies, but not that much. The others, we have intentionally been decreasing over time, wanting to grow our own capacity, and I'll share those numbers with you on those motions.
Okay. Any further questions? We'll go ahead with the roll call.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddock Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes. And we'll go on to item D, consideration to approve the 2021-2022 NTC Partners proposal.
Move the board approve the 2021-2022 NTC Partners proposal as presented.
Second.
Any questions on that? It's pretty much the same as it was last year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we'll go ahead with the roll call.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes. And item E is consideration to approve the 2021-2022 academic standards.
I move the board approve the academic standards for 2021-2022 as presented.
Second.
So while this is required by state statute that you all approve, we're pretty excited to have you click on that link. This is a long time coming, and Amy's been working very diligently with our teachers since she's been in the curriculum office. Our goal with this comprehensive document is for any person who takes an interest. So if I'm a parent at home wanting to help my fourth grader, but I'm not sure what the math standards are, I can find out. And ideally, we'll continue to grow this document, have it be more specific, and by using both this and Canvas, which is our learning management system, we hope to take the mystery out of what students are learning. And anyone interested will be able to access that information. I'm really proud of Amy and the team she's assembled to get after this. And I know, Angel, you had questions too about, how can people access this information? So it will be on our website, it'll be in Canvas, and teachers will be able to speak to this directly now at conferences and in other communications.
So will they be able to click on it and see what the standard is?
Yes, so JD, did you click on that top link that's in blue?
Then I click on the PDF?
Yeah, the PDF won't allow that,
Okay.
but the top one will.
Oh, I see, okay. Cool.
And there's more work to be done. It isn't complete. In fact, curriculum is really never complete. It's an ongoing cycle, of course, and so it will be routinely updated.
Oh, but I can't click on RFK.1 foundational reading skill. Right?
Okay, you'd have to tell me where you are. I'm sorry.
So if you click on, yeah, so click on kindergarten. So can I click on that and see what the actual skill is?
Yes, you are going to be able to.
Oh, you could.
Yeah, I think you can too. You just have to go to the top.
Oh, the top.
These are the ones that they're required or that are covered, but this is the actual link.
Ah.
Okay? Amy would be so proud of you.
Okay. So that might be something that needs to be a little clearer for how to use it.
And when it's rolled out, it will be.
Okay.
You were the first sneak preview.
Okay. Okay, any other questions on that? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Consideration to approve position analysis for Antigo Middle School Instructional Assistant.
I move the board approve the position analysis for middle school instructional assistant.
Second.
We had brought the other levels to you prior to this time, so it's middle school's turn tonight, much to Ms. McCann's delight, I'm sure.
And what's in there, does anybody have any questions on it? Then we'll go ahead with a roll call.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes. And we'll go on to item G, consideration to approve, there's no point in me hacking that name up, consultant contract for the 21-22 for the English language program. Somebody else will try that.
All right, I move the board approve
Massey-Archin.
The Terry Mashiarshin? How's that sound?
Yep.
Consultant contract for 2021-2022 for coaching the English language program implementation.
Second.
Okay,
And just so you know, we are spending $50,000 less with Terry this coming school year than we did this year.
okay. Okay, any other questions on it? And 50,000 less because we're doing more of it in-house?
Right, she will essentially be training one of our staff members to serve as our EL liaison,
Okay,
or department head, if you will.
we'll go ahead with that roll call.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes. We'll go on to item H, consideration to approve the 2021-2022 Math Institute of Wisconsin contract.
Okay, I move the board approve the Math Institute of Wisconsin contract for 2021-2022 as presented.
Second.
So this is gonna be all grade levels?
It is, but do you remember we sent in, we can review, we had teachers from all grade levels who were interested in serving on this math pilot group talk about what we want all math students to be able to do. So that was kind of the overview, and now it's getting into the actual standards work, and that will be primarily, JD, starting at the elementary levels and then working our way up.
Okay, anything else?
Okay, so during PD days, high school teachers will be doing nothing else, essentially.
Possibly, but standards work will be part of this, so we want them to refine their essential standards to that old adage of, is it miles long and just an inch deep of knowledge, or do you take those essential standards and really promote deep understanding? So that's what we have to take a look at. So I can't say that they wouldn't be working on math, because they likely would on some of those days.
Is this one of the things Jill wants to come to and hear about Common Core math? Not really.
Well, and keep in mind, Common Core math was adopted by the state. So it's more of the standards, not how we teach them. I think sometimes we talk about our CPM math, which is what we use in the secondary, and that's been subjected to its own criticisms, so possibly.
Okay, any other questions or comments? And we would go ahead with a roll call for that.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes. And item I is consideration to approve the 2021-2022 CP consulting contracts.
I move the board approve the 2021-2022 CP consulting contracts as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
This one has gone from $152,000 in 1920 to the recommended $58,687 for next year.
Okay. And if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead with the roll call on that.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Newfeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes.
Can I, when was the last time we had Connie Perkins come talk to us?
It has been a while. She actually, Amy's not here. She, I believe, is working for DPI now, so she doesn't come in and do any of the coaching. Her team does it through her firm.
They just can't, was that like, I can't remember how many, we got so many new board members that it might be worth it to send someone in and show us that, because some of it seems good, and some of it's kind of weird, but it's like, I can't remember, it's like how to do your daily calendar.
And that's what we're doing by reducing the contract. We started with one size fits all. Every teacher needs the same thing. And through teacher feedback, we've learned that they don't all need the same thing, and they have different strengths, and what they would like help with is what we're trying to offer them through this model now. So that's a good point.
So each school is getting their own thing there, right?
It might be the same from school to school what is offered, but yes, they have a voice in the coaching.
Okay. So we're going to go on to item J, consideration to approve the bid for Schofield Stadium bleachers.
Move the board approve the bid from Crowd Control Warehouse for Schofield Stadium bleachers in the amount of $13,554.35.
Second.
Any questions or comments there?
So this will be paid for from the Gridiron Club, their fundraising. I just want to bring up one thing to be clear on what these are going to be used for is the visitor side. The existing bleachers that are there are out of code, very outdated as far as safety. Quality is very poor. They either need to be fully refurbished or gone. And just the replacement of the boards themselves on those bleachers is over twice the cost of this set. Now we will be reducing the amount of people that can sit there from the current ones hold approximately 1,500 fans, and these would hold 144. Yeah, that's a big difference, and I really questioned that myself, and the Gridiron Club and Tom have assured me that that's more than appropriate for districts our size, our specific setup. We do have a lot of extra space on the lower side that we can utilize if need be, and they feel like there will be no issues with that size reduction. So it is a big shift, but it sounds like we don't need that capacity anymore. And the amount of money to try and bring those current bleachers up to current code standards and good working order is just way more expensive than what we need to spend right now. So
How many people come? Is Tom back there?
Yeah.
How many visitors come to a game?
Depends if it's from Ashland or if it's from Merrill. Not that many, to be honest. It's been, dwindling. Like Jake said, comparable. You go to Lakeland, they have minimal visitor bleachers. You go to Mosinee or you go to Medford, they don't have visitor bleachers. They all are on one grandstand side. And our grandstand site, like Jake said, is big enough to accompany any overflow to it as well. Plus, there is going to be a lot of room to the left and to the right. And we also discussed as a Gridiron Club that if we do see we need to add more, we could always purchase more. But comparable to other GNC schools, yes. It's a big downsize. But from the crowds that we used to have and when we were a much bigger school district and everything, it's definitely could be enough, I think, for a start. And if we see like there is a lot of people who want to purchase another set and try to add on, we can do it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Then we would go ahead with the...
One final thing, the existing bleachers will be, the Lions Club actually wants to take them and take on the expense and project of refurbishing them in hopes that they can use them for off-road races.
Oh, off-road races.
So that's good from our end because we just call them and they come and take them away for free. And So that's a labor and money savings on our end as well, and if it benefits them, that's great.
Yeah, they will have some money coming in that they can afford to fix those up as long as they can get people sitting in those seats.
Hopefully.
Yeah, good. Okay, then we'll go ahead with that roll call vote.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Neufeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
and Mary.
Yes. And item K is consideration to approve the athletic trainer services contract with Aspirus Langley Hospital.
I move the board approve the athletic trainer services contract with Aspirus Langley Hospital as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this? And there's no, they don't charge us here, is there?
Correct.
Value? No.
It's been a nice partnership for a long time.
Okay. Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes, and we'll go on to item L, consideration to approve co-curricular code revisions for the 2021-2022.
I move the board approve the co-curricular code revisions for 2021-2022 as presented with the following exception. Any area where parent is crossed out followed by caregiver will be replaced with parent/guardian/caregiver.
Second.
Okay.
If I could start, and then I know Clint and Tom can add. The reason we brought this before you, one of the main reasons is historically, the athletic or activities code has been used, you can look at it two ways. It is designed to motivate kids to make the right decisions so that they can continue doing, hopefully, what they love doing. And then on the flip side of that, it has been used as consequences, punishments, and this is what happens then when you don't make the right choice. So what we and districts all across the nation want to do, just like you are well aware, is the more we can engage kids in healthy activities after school, the better off they're going to be. So we want to keep that at the heart of our decision making, and instead of deterring them, can we still have them, you'll read in there, participate in practice, for example. Why are we saying you can't even come to practice when we know they'll be safe and doing something that's a healthy activity with peers supervised at that time? So the changes that the gentleman will, if you have questions, that's really the filter that we ran it through. We want more kids. We don't want to ban kids from participating. Okay, that's my intro. Go ahead. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them.
If you scroll down in section P on there, where it lists the other clubs, it says Anago Literary Journal, and that's all crossed out on there. Or Anagonian Literary Journal, that's all crossed out on there. It should just be Anagonian crossed out. That went through a name change to be Literary Journal. So Anagonian was the old name, Literary Journal, new name, and that should still be in there. And then we did go through and make the other changes, parent/guardian/caregiver on the Google Doc version, which you'll obviously get a copy of as well.
And I'll just briefly kind of back up everything that Dr. Sprague mentioned. These kids that, get in trouble, the consequences for them. Obviously, they're still going to be there. They're still going to be going through service contracts. It's just going to be a less of a penalty. If you look through them all, you can see they're obviously going to be less percentages. But that's going to help motivate the kids to continue to strive and get back onto that playing surface. And like Dr. Spring said, I'm a firm believer in this. The more these kids, even if they're getting, whatever they're getting academically, how many classes they're failing, they're going to have that many more mentors working with them, trying to get them and motivate them to get those grades up so that they can pursue and be involved in those co-curriculars. And as a football coach, I work with a lot of those student athletes all the time, daily, trying to make sure that we are all achieving and really put the student athlete first. I'm talking about the student, and obviously it doesn't always work out, and you're not with the kids 24/7, but when you are with them, you just keep talking to them about it, and for some of them it does click. I have a lot of successful stories of kids that have come through and changed, not only the way that they act, but different things that they do get involved with in their grades. And it's really good for us, I feel like, personally, to make sure that we continue to support our students even when they make poor decisions, to learn from those decisions, come back from them, and strive to be better.
So, unless there's any other questions or comments here, we do need an amendment for that item P to include literary journal.
I do have a question. If a student athlete had to complete an ATODA, a treatment assessment, where would they do that? Where is that being offered? Through?
So we are involved with outside source where I get the online courses, and then I give them online courses. So if they are anything related to nicotine, or there's also some that deal with disruptive behavior, or there's a couple different ones that we go through, and I can share those with you.
Got it. No, I didn't realize it was online.
Yeah, it's online.
Got it.
It's all
Thank you.
online.
So the student is doing it online?
The student is doing it online, and then they complete the course, and then I get a completion certificate from them.
Okay.
And what is the cost if they have to do one of those to the student?
They differ. I think some are 30, some are 60. I mean, again, that's another cost to the student. We don't cover that. That's on them to be able to cover, for them to be able to fulfill that consequence. But yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I'll make sure, and Tom, that I say this correctly. I will amend my original motion to include that the error should be changed to the cross out of Antagonian, and what should be there is literary journal.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. And would somebody second that motion?
Yeah, second.
Any discussion on the motion, the amendment, I should say? Any discussion on the amendment? And all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then, any further discussion on the motion as amended? And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep. We'll go on to item M. Consideration to approve girls volleyball overnight trip.
I move the board approve the girls' volleyball overnight trip to Wisconsin Dells on August 26th through the 28th, 2021.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this?
No, but it was nice that he got this in
Yes.
quite the timely manner.
Agreed.
Because I was thinking, maybe it's in the middle of the summer, but it's not.
No, no. Could have almost brought it at the next meeting, but that'd be pretty short. Okay. Unless there's any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Go on. Item N, report of employee resignations and retirements.
I move the board accept the retirement of Helen Eigel, high school study hall supervisor, and resignation of April Schofield, literary coach, and RPIC internal coach.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments on this?
I'm sorry to see them both go.
Yeah, they've both done a lot for our district. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Go on to report district new hires.
I move the board approve the following new hires. Carrie Kabaki, high school counselor. Faith Newman, environmental education coordinator. Tricia Willie, second grade North Elementary. Kenneth Freeland, high school science teacher. Mike Olson, half-time high school substitute teacher. Sophia Wachtel, half-time high school substitute teacher. Courtney Westendorf, elementary substitute teacher. Jessica Ackright, instructional assistant, East Elementary. Shelley Nicholson, instructional assistant, West Elementary. Nicole Kaler, instructional assistant, North Elementary. And Kaylee Mosier, 4K instructional assistant, West Elementary.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments on these?
I have a question. Julie. Tricia Willie, is that our Tricia Willie?
It is not. Isn't that interesting? She's
gosh.
coming to us from the Wausau School District with the same name.
That's just, but the other one's still here, isn't she?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's going to be confusing in emails. There's going to have to be a 1 and a 2.
Right. Yes.
Okay,
For a middle initial.
yeah, something.
Okay, unless there's other questions, we'll do a roll call on that.
Neufeld,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes. And item P is report of donations.
Well, I move the board accept the following donations. $1,000 from City Gas Company for AHS drama. $1,200 from Dennis Clement Transport for Schofield Stadium resurfacing project, sod delivery. $117,182 from the Antigo Gridiron Club for the Schofield Stadium resurfacing project, and $1,000 from Zelazowski Wood Products for Neboken Lodge School Forest project for a total of $120,382.
And is there a second?
Second.
And any questions or comments? I think the comment would be thank you to all those who donated, and we're especially happy to see that the Gridiron Club has done all that fundraising and getting the Schofield Stadium done.
Yeah.
And with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then item Q would be to confirm that the next meeting will be Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. And with that, we'll have consideration of a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851C, considering employment promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to discuss administrative contracts and the performance evaluation for the district administrator.
So we have to second that?
Somebody has to make that motion.
I have to read the whole thing like you just did?
Or
Can't I
you-
just say ditto?
You could just say, I so move.
Yeah, okay, I so move.
Is there a second?
A second.
roll call.
Schrader,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Bartle,
Yes.
Maddox Nelson,
Yes.